Hi, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin, and the Lucky Suns autograph of the day from the 77 basketball is Ronnie Lee, number 30. We actually did Ronnie Lee as one of the Suns legends of the day. Ronnie Lee, kamikaze, drafted by the Portland Timbers and the Chargers. And he never played football in college or high school, but he was one of the most popular Suns players we ever had. All right, let's get to it. So we need to talk about Devin Booker. In a recent Sports Illustrated article, I read, which bothered me, not a single Suns player was ranked as one of the 10 best in the Western Conference. Is this a huge omission of Devin Booker? I mean, he was 9th in scoring last year. He wasn't an all-star. He didn't make the playoffs. His team didn't go to the playoffs. So here's the top 10 Western Conference players according to NBA.com heading into this coming season. 10, Victor Wembanyama. I'm never going to get his name right. Wemby. LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard. Kevin Durant. Anthony Davis. Steph Curry. Luka Doncic. Anthony Edwards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Nikola Jokic. I agree with Jokic. I agree with Alexander. I agree with Ant. I agree with Luka. I agree with Steph. I don't agree with Anthony Davis. Yeah, KD's there. I don't think he's 7. I think he might be 9 or 10. Do not agree with Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, LeBron had a good year last year. And Wemby, no. And Wemby's great, but not coming into this year. He's still got to prove himself. The only thing Kawhi had over Book last year was his team made the playoffs. At worst, they were even last year. And right now, this very minute, just because of injuries, I'd take Book over Kawhi, and I like Kawhi. Wemby is projected best, so it's hard to leave him off the list, but he missed a lot last year. His team was nowhere with him. Same as the Suns, to be fair and honest. But there's an argument there. A hard no on Anthony Davis, who was having a good year with the Lakers until he became Anthony Davis and went down. So Book 9th in the league in scoring, playing with Kevin Durant. That's an accomplishment in itself. And 7.1 assists last year when he wasn't supposed to be the point guard, but he deferred to the legend Durant, ultimate team player. And his defense and his playmaking have gotten better every year, regardless of injuries, regardless of the Suns going to the playoffs or not. Booker is still improving. So I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of disrespect to Devin Booker. Our superstar. His percentages were down. I believe he'll rectify that this year with more of a green light to keep shooting. I think Booker is top 5 in scoring this year, and at worst, he'll be second team All-NBA. The Suns are 100% Devin Booker's team going into this year. Moving on to one rumor. So Bleacher Report writer Zach Buckley listed Memphis Grizzlies forward G.G. Jackson as a player that might be looking for a new home. Might be. This is rumor, but I didn't even see this on the radar. Now I'm looking at it. And I know we've gone over this a few times, so let's settle. Let's see what we got. We have good front court players. We have a lot of prospects. We have really promising rookies. Ryan Dunn is destined for a breakout year, but Jackson's minutes per game went down to 15.8 compared to 25.7 his rookie season because there's a logjam of players with his ability in Memphis. People forget this. As a rookie, after the All-Star break, he averaged 17.6 points. That's as a 19-year-old. And he's 20. He's really talented, and he's really raw. And almost 20 points a game with, absolutely clearly, not a whole lot of direction and not a whole lot of coaching. 6'9", 215, can play either forward. Pure offense. His all-around game needs work, but the Suns have a lot of guys who need work. Remember, this is a rebuilding year, although I think we're going to surprise some people. Jackson is 2 years under his belt, looks hungry to prove himself. Might be someone to look at down the road. You never know how it's going to go with these guys, but just keep the name in the back of your head, G.G. Jackson. There's other guys out there like that who I'm thinking maybe down the road might be I don't know, these under-the-radar guys. And Suns are notorious for getting under-the-radar guys who turn out to be really good players. Boris Diaw comes to mind. Comments from @Job7985. I still have a problem with the Suns blowing up a 64-win Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges team for an old Kevin Durant retread. The word retread and old heads keeps coming up in the comments, and it's important because the Suns need to think about this. It's nothing wrong with having a veteran presence on your team, but when you rely on the veteran presence all the time, You do not go far in the playoffs. These guys either break down or they just can't keep up with the young guys, no matter how good they are. It's just a fact in the NBA. I think Steph Curry is the only one that really defies that. Um, KD could still score, but every other part of his game was in decline. I still think KD was an underrated defender. I think a lot of that had to do with his length. But yeah, no, nothing invalid about your points. This is a team game, and the Suns had a great one that was young and was only going to get better. Never gave them a chance and mortgaged our future only to get worse. KD trade was worst trade in team history for so many reasons. Thought that then, and unfortunately was proven true over time. Good riddance, KD. All right, agreed, except Chris Paul, who was a revelation for us and got us over the hump and made Devin Booker's life. Devin Booker had his best seasons with Chris Paul when Chris Paul was healthy. It's such a sad thing to have to admit that we relied much more on Chris Paul than we think we do. And look back on it. Really think about it. Because when Chris Paul faltered, the team just went nowhere. Yes, we won a game or two, but come the playoffs, when Chris Paul really broke down, especially in the finals against the Bucks, we lost 4 in a row. Chris Paul, like a lot of NBA, like every NBA player worth their salt, when they're injured, they're like, nope, I'm fine. They don't talk about it. But then you find out 2 or 3 months later, it's like, oh my God, by the way, the guy had a broken tibia, or like his ankle was just gone, or he was getting injections at halftime. And unfortunately, Chris Paul fell apart physically, not mentally. He still went out there and he still tried to play, but when it happened the next year in the playoffs when we got annihilated by the Mavericks, he couldn't do anything. You could see it. There's no arguing that. So when Chris Paul broke down and couldn't be 100%, we broke. And it was harsh reality, but I saw it happen with my own eyes, and I was screaming at the TV. And it's like, why did you push this guy so hard in the regular season? So we had that title won, too. No one will ever not convince me of that. So it was really frustrating. And I hated losing the Twins. But you're right. We didn't need KD. We needed to bring in, and we're going to do this on the next Suns latest, we needed to bring in a young apprentice point guard for Chris Paul to tutor and keep that freaking team intact. Maybe make the deal happen with DeAndre Ayton and Miles Turner back in the day when it looked like it might be happening. Pacers wanted Ayton. Suns could have gotten Turner. I don't know. Hey, this is why we do this. This is like to speculate on this stuff. But we needed another point guard to work with and take over for Chris Paul. And I would have liked for Chris Paul to retire as a Sun. I thought it would have been Let's not talk about Bradley Beal because then we're all going to get upset. All right. Thank you, though. That's a really, really good point. And no, we didn't need to do the KD trade as much as it was kind of cool to say Kevin Durant is on the Suns. At Broken Toastable, or Toast Table. No, Toastable. Why are people acting like Grayson needs to be traded? His salary isn't even bad compared to the rest of the league. Yeah, I think it's more the length of the contract that turns teams off next year. He'll be way more tradable. I like him, though. That's from Metallica. Nothing for me to comment about that. From at CloudCover6479. For a number 10 pick, Kaman Malawash has to be considered at least a disappointment. If he can't be fixed, then he'd be a disaster. Well, how can you call him a disappointment if you're already saying if he can't be fixed? That's 2 speculations, and we haven't seen what he can do. I mean, Summer League is kind of a glorified practice. I mean, he's a project. We've gone over this. He's a project, and it's going to be months before we see what kind of player he can be. To speculate on, to say that he's a disappointment, he hasn't even played a game. He hasn't played a preseason game. Summer League is just all right. Can he walk and not fall down? That's really what you're looking at for Summer League. I get it. There is a lot of concern because he was the number 10 pick, but we're lucky we got a number 10 pick. And a lot of people said Malawach was the best available center in the draft at that time. So that's what you do. That's part of the deal. At XDS, what the F are you talking about? LMFAO, he hasn't played a game yet. Yeah, that's a response to, okay. All right, let's simmer down here, okay. All right, okay. Hard language. No, whatever. I saw him play in Vegas. He's definitely a project. My biggest criticism would be awkward play down low. He kind of doesn't, he needs a Keem Olajuwon big man camp. He kind of doesn't know what to do once he's down low. He's good up high. He'll have to work down low. But he's an incredible athlete. Not an easy thing to fix is bad footwork. If you try, you fix it. At Dagoon R. KD is still an amazing player. He's just boring as hell to watch most of the time. I'd rather have 2 scrappy youngsters score 15 each than watch KD go for 30. Almost like we had before the KD trade with Cam and Mikal. Yeah. Also from you, Dagoon R. Tell Golden State we are going in a different direction. Start some Giddey rumors. There's already Giddey rumors for every team in the league that might want Giddey, but the Suns should not Don't let your foot off the gas when it comes to Giddey. I think he'd be a good fit. Golden State panics, gets a deal done, or forget about Kuminga, really look for someone else or no one else. We don't have to spend the money in our pocket. We don't have the money to spend right now anyway. Yep. At Mao Food Now, I'm all in on Mark Williams being on the team. I believe Kuminga is a great player. They had no trust in him in Golden State. He, of course, felt that and knew that. It's hard to want to perform for a coach that doesn't want to believe in you. When every mistake you make, you see the coach throwing his hands in the air and shaking his head. So let's get something straight about Golden State Warrior culture. Until Steph Curry falls down dead and can still score 20 to 30 points a game, which he did plenty of last year, until he is really not their number one option, nothing's going to change in Golden State. And it's important to talk about this because they're in the division, and the Suns and the Warriors deal with each other a lot. And so for the longest time, people said, oh, the Warriors don't like any young players. So it's like, why would you shake up Draymond, Clay, and Steph? They're the last dynasty, and they won a lot with that formula. And Steve Kerr's no dummy. So now they get rid of Clay, but they bring in Jimmy Butler. Last year, they beat the Houston Rockets, up-and-coming young team. They beat them, and they would have continued winning. Steph goes down, and it's just too much to overcome. So as long as those three are healthy, and I don't care what anybody says, Draymond Green does so much more defensively than you can see. You almost have to watch game film of Draymond Green and what he does defensively, just verbally, just calling out the switches. You pick up that guy. He just absolutely controls the defensive tempo of that team. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just Steph and Jimmy Buckets. It's Draymond is an integral part of that team. It's not the most exciting player, but as far as where his head goes defensively in the game, you really can't top Draymond. And he knows it, and he'll tell you so. All right, hey, thank you for your comments. Always keep commenting. Our next Suns Latest has a whole lot to do with a lot of the comments because you guys are amazing, and you're reminding me of things that I missed. So thank you for doing that. It really, really helps. It helps Suns Latest. Subscribe if you want. Don't criticize if you want. Don't watch that language, young man. All right, moving on to the sixth man. So we've been doing the five, and I told you I'm going to get that first five out of the way. It's going to be my pick. But then we're going to talk about it, and I'm getting a whole lot of comments on it, and we're going to get to that next one. So the top five all-time by position are set. Remember, it's by position, so don't freak out if your guy, who you know is a top five Suns player of all time, isn't in the top five. But remember, these are opinions. They're hard to argue with, but these are opinions. All right, so the five are set. Shooting guard, Paul Westphal. Point guard, Steve Nash. Power forward, Charles Barkley. Small forward, Walter Davis. Center, Alvin Adams. Some of you who never got to see Alvin Adams play are losing your minds. Like, how can you not have Devin Booker on the first five? How can you not have Kevin Johnson or Tom Chambers on the first five? How can you not have Sean Marion or Jason Kidd on the first five? All of them were so much better than Alvin Adams. Yep, but they didn't play center. And the center position for the Phoenix Suns throughout our history has been lacking, except for Alvin Adams. Rookie of the Year, All-Star, helped the team get to the finals and almost beat the Celtics in his first year, and he remained a consistent and awesome and loyal player, just like Devin Booker for the Suns. Now, comparing the two, I'm saying as far as this guy is a Sun and bled purple and orange throughout his entire career and did whatever they asked. As far as the greatest center in Suns history, argue with me. Don't say Shaq. Shaq got to the Suns. He was 40% Shaq. I don't care that he went to the All-Star game and won MVP and shared it with Kobe that year. Shaq was not Shaq when he got to the Suns. The idea of it, if we had gotten prime Shaq, if we had gotten Lakers Shaq, no question, arguably the greatest center of all time. Arguably. But for the Suns, Alvin Adams is the man. So that's the top five. We're going to go by the arguments because then we're just going to do all time. But for now, who's our sixth man? It's really important. And it doesn't have to be a traditional six-man. Here's where you get your revenge. Here's where you can say it's well, if you're not going to put him in the top five, then I want Booker coming off the bench. It doesn't matter if the guy's an actual six-man. We had two guys who won six-man of the year, the incomparable Eddie Johnson and the Brazilian blur Leandro Barbosa. They both actually won six-man of the year for the NBA, so they do need to be in this argument. But, as I said, if you just want to go by best player besides actual six men, that's fine. We're going to leave that one up here. I just had a thought. Maybe it should be an actual traditional six-man. Let's not do that because I know some of you are losing your minds that I didn't put Devin Booker on the top five. So by saying that, I'm quite sure Devin Booker is a no-brainer, but here's the arguments. Amari Stoudemire, Kevin Johnson, Tom Chambers, Sean Marion, Jason Kidd, Dan Marley, KD, Chris Paul, Dennis Johnson. You can't lose with any of these guys. So I'm talking about, let's say the top 5 go out and play. They're the actual team and they're all in their primes at the same time. Tough team to beat, very balanced, good team. Yeah, I like that team. So who would be the best logical guy to come off the bench for Paul Westphal, Steve Nash, Charles Barkley, Walter Davis, and Alvin Adams? Amari Stoudemire? Only because of the undersized front court. Even though Charles Barkley was a monster rebounder, Walter Davis did not rebound. Alvin Adams did what he could. So do you want Amari Stoudemire, who also, as great as he wasn't a monster rebounder. It was a struggle for Amari to get 10 a game, in my humble opinion. Kevin Johnson, phenomenal blur of a point guard. You don't miss a step when Nash goes out. So we're still running and gunning and killing everybody. Tom Chambers could do it all. Not the greatest natural defender, but gave his all. And Chambers could get you 10 rebounds a game. He could definitely score. Sean Marion could get you 20 rebounds a game. Sean Marion could get you a ton of rebounds a game and also steal the ball. And he could play either forward and also guard the other team's center. Great as a six-man. Jason Kidd. God, I love Jason Kidd. I still think he's underrated. Is that just bizarre or is that just me? Jason Kidd could actually play small forward, but you actually want him bringing the ball up. So there's 2 point guard options and 2 of the greatest point guards of all time possibly coming off the bench. Dan Marley, utility Dan, Thunder Dan, could play either forward or guard position, could guard anybody. What was it said? I know Michael Jordan destroyed him after a few games, but what a lot of people said is Dan Marley put a saddle on Michael Jordan in the 93 finals and rode it as hard as he could until Michael got sick of it. Kevin Durant, Can you imagine playing a team and their first guy off the bench is Kevin Durant? It's just demoralizing. Chris Paul, another amazing point guard. Dennis Johnson, who could switch between point and shooting guard. God. I'm thinking, and you're all going to kill me again, I don't hate Devin Booker. I love him. But I'm thinking for this team, the best guy off the bench would be Sean Marion because he's interchangeable and you don't lose any rebounding. He would complement Charles Barkley so incredibly well. He already played with Nash. He would complement Paul West. He's the most complimentary player other than being a point guard. So right now, I think I got to go with Sean Marion as the sixth man. All right, I'm going to stop with my opinions as far as the 5 plus the 6th man. So we got Paul Westphal, Steve Nash, Charles Barkley, Walter Davis, Alvin Adams, Sean Marion off the bench as the 6th man. That is the end of my opinions. We're going to do averages for the 5, and now we can go positionless. We can just go top 5, but we're also going to do the all-time Suns team. So what is it? What? We can do 11. We can do 12, just because it's our freaking show. All right. So let me know what you think. Keep subscribing. Keep commenting. Thank you for watching Suns Latest. I'm Rich Rubin. We'll talk to you soon.